here at home, budget compromise. The expectation today is that there will be a Senate vote and that the bipartisan budget deal will pass. How rare is that? Well, freshman Senator Joe Manchin of West Virginia says it is the first bipartisan deal he has seen since he was elected 3 years ago. Joining me now is the Democratic Senator from West Virginia, Joe Manchin. Senator, thanks very much. So this is a rare sighting, a budget deal, a bipartisan agreement on the Senate floor today.
Yeah. Andrew, I've been there for 3 years, and we haven't even had a budget conferee. We haven't had a budget agreement on anything. We haven't even had a budget. And for the last 5 years, no budget. To see this come to fruition, I give Congressman Paul Ryan and Senator Patty Murray all the accolades they deserve, because, you know, they basically, it's their temperament, it's their whole approach to trying to get something done, but also trying to build a relationship. And that's what this is all about up here. And they've done that, and I know there's a lot of people complaining. You're not going to find a perfect piece of legislation up here, but moving in the right direction to get kind of an orderly process back. They've accomplished that, so I think it's something that we should move forward and try to improve upon.
51% of those polled in our latest NBC News Wall Street Journal poll last week said that this is one of the worst Congresses ever. Do you agree with that assessment?
Well, I think if you based on results, I've always been a result-oriented person. There's never been a least productive Congress than what we're in right now, the 113th. I'm ashamed to be a part of that. That's not what I came here to do, and I'm going to continue to work to improve it. But people have got to start putting their country first. You know, it's one thing to be a Democrat or a Republican, but the most beautiful thing that we all have is we're all Americans, and we should be really rooting and fighting for our country, and we're harming our country right now by not coming together.
And, the fact is that you were a governor. It strikes me that coming as a chief executive from West Virginia, a lot of governors have a tough adjustment to being one of 100. They're used to getting their way. But this makes it even worse, harder to figure out. How do you get anything done?
Oh, buddy. Andrew, I just can't, I mean, my state of West Virginia, we don't do business like this back home. You know, no matter how much we got into a tangle politically, Democrat and Republican, I would bring everybody together and say, listen, this is not about me and you, and it's not about our parties. This is about our state of West Virginia, and it deserves better than what we're doing. So we'd get together and we'd make something happen. And I thought for sure it'd be a little higher level, and we'd do the same here. But they could learn a lot about how we do business in West Virginia, I can tell you that.
Let me ask you about guns, because you were trying to make it possible for a bipartisan coalition for background checks. And we all know that you are a gun enthusiast. We saw your commercial, your campaign commercial when you were running for office. And nothing has taken place. It's a year since Newtown. Not even changes in the mental health law. None of the things that the NRA has supported in the past. What's the next step? What can you do?
Andrew, I'm hoping that basically we can all come to our senses. This is the most common sense approach that Pat Toomey and myself had taken. And coming from gun cultures, we basically said, law-abiding gun owners like myself are not going to sell to a stranger. We're not going to sell that someone's been a criminal or someone has unstable and mental problems, or give it to a family member that's not responsible. We're just not going to do that. But we think it's absolutely fine that if you have a commercial transaction, you don't know the person, you go to a gun show or on the internet, you should know, and I should know. That's what we do as law-abiding gun owners, who the other person is. Most people agree with that, and most gun owners agree with that, Andrea. What it's gotten down to, they just don't trust government. They just don't think the government will stop there. And they says, Joe, I like your bill, and I'm sure that's fine and doesn't bother me, but I'm not sure I want to do anything because I'm afraid they'll try to take more. I can assure you that's not going to happen as long as I'm here, but that's the problem. That's what we really run into. That's the roadblock that we're facing right now.
They should talk to the parents and friends and family of that high school student, the young woman who is in a coma in a hospital in Colorado after what happened last week there. One of the issues is mental health, and Glenn Close has become an activist because of the issue of what happened to her sister, who was diagnosed at age 50 with bipolar, the bipolar syndrome. She talked about it today in Washington.
It's incredible to me that it's still so difficult for people to talk about it. And so our passion is to make mental illness as easy to talk about as diabetes or cancer. Speaking across the country, in colleges, towns, there is a feeling that people are just waiting for permission to start the conversation. And I think if if they understand that their representatives in Washington actually hear them and care about what they're going through on a daily basis and will help their communities, I think that is going to change the climate and the landscape of mental health in this country.
So finally, Senator, what chance does that mental health legislation have?
I think it does have good opportunity there, and it's something that should be done. You know, in our bill, in the background check bill that we had a commission on mass violence, which basically acknowledges and recognizes we need to do something with video violence, we need to do something with school safety, and we need to do something with mental illness. And all of the people that seem to have been identified as these horrific crimes they've committed have had mental instability or mental illness. And it's something that we deal with, and we've got to deal with it. It's in our society, and it's something that we got to address. And I think with the new Affordable Health Care Act, that's something that will be paid for and be treated. So that's a start in the right direction. We just have to do so much more, but we need to be listening to our teachers. I go to grade schools and even to preschool, Andrea, and they're telling me they can identify a student very young, knowing they have problems and challenges and not getting any help at home, but they have nowhere to send them to, and there's no resources to help them. That's what needs to be done at a very early age, being detecting and getting treatment.
Senator Joe Manchin, thank you very much, Senator. Thanks for being with us.
Merry Christmas.
And the same to you, and happy